everybody. We're making moussaka today. We are studying Othello and we are exploring the Cypriot cuisine of Cyprus. And Cyprus is in the Mediterranean Sea, a small island which is bordered by Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Egypt, and has had the influence of Greek and Italian cuisine as well. So here is our recipe and here is our mise en place. We're getting everything ready. Okay, so we have our tools out. We have our colander, our wooden spoon, our large saucepan, a half-sheet pan. We have our spices, oregano, black pepper, salt, cinnamon, allspice, our olive oil, Pam, non-stick pan to coat the half-sheet pan when we're roasting our eggplants, our onions, ground beef, diced tomatoes, tomato paste, and our 2 beautiful eggplant. This is a large batch of ground beef. I'm only going to use about half of that. When you buy such a large batch, it's usually a lower price, so that was only $4.49 a pound. It's usually called the family pack, and you get a bit of a discount, so it's always smarter to shop and buy the large family pack because you usually get a discount, so that way it's not so expensive. So I'm going to be using half of this, and the rest I'll be using for different recipes. And here are 2 beautiful eggplant, which I will be roasting. So we have our non-slip mat, our cutting board, our chef knife, and our measuring spoons. The first thing that we are going to do is, step number 1, on a cutting board, the non-slip mat, use a paring knife, slice eggplant into 1/3 inch thick discs, salt generously, and let sit in the colander for a full hour to remove the bitter juices. Rinse and pat dry with paper towels. I have sliced the eggplant in 1/3 inch sliced discs, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle it with olive oil. So it's nice that I have this big cutting board because I'm just going to sort of like fan it out and sprinkle. This is not a measured amount. This is table salt. And we're just going to sprinkle it generously over the top, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in the colander and I'm going to sort of toss them around, all right? And the salt draws out the bitter juices that are in the eggplant. If you don't do this step, your eggplant tends to be bitter. So I'm just sort of like trying to get all this salt on the eggplant to help release those bitter juices. And I will put the colander in the sink so that way the bitter juices can run off into the sink. We're going to do that. They need to sit, these slices need to sit with the salt on it for 1 hour. And all the bitter juices will come out. And then when that's done, we're going to roast them in a 400-degree oven. All right, so I have the eggplant. You see all the liquid coming off? That's because it's been sitting here for an hour with the salt. And I left it on the counter so you could see actually how much liquid drained off. So these are all the bitter juices that are in the eggplant. And the salt removes it. So that's why you do this step, because that's where the bitter juices are. That's the bitter taste in the eggplant. So we're gonna rinse off the salt now. And this is our colander. Okay, it's not a strainer, this is a colander. Colander has large holes, the strainer has small holes. All right, we wanna get rid of all the salt, the extra salt that we put on. And then we're gonna move back to our table and dry these off. So, all right, so we're gonna let these dry off, use a little bit of paper towel to help absorb the extra liquid. And then what we are gonna do is, I have the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are going to roast the eggplant. So I'm gonna put it on this half-sheet pan, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray it with Pam, or a non-stick cooking spray, so the eggplant does not stick to the bottom. If you don't have this, you could brush some olive oil on the bottom of the pan. And then we're gonna layer the eggplant over this and roast it at 400 degrees. Moussaka is a long, complicated dish. This takes a lot of time, has many steps. So this step can actually be done the day ahead. All right, you could make this part of the recipe, keep the grilled roasted eggplant overnight, and then assemble it the next day. So it's always important to know how you can prepare in advance for something. Sometimes, like if you're having a party or if you're working in a restaurant and you have multiple dishes on your menu and different ingredients, so you need to know what you can do ahead of time. And as you can see, I'm going to be able to fit all of these slices. This is one large eggplant. We need 2 for our recipe. I already have 1 in the oven. As you can see, I can fit all of it on this one half-sheet pan, like a jigsaw puzzle. Right, and fit them all in there. And then we're going to put them in the oven to roast. I have some in the oven already, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. They've been in for a while. We're going to flip these over. So luckily I already have my tongs. Let's shut the oven. And I'm going to turn these over. You can see I already have some nice golden brown coloring on it. And we just want to flip it over. Nice golden brown color, and we'll put it back in the oven for a couple of minutes, not too long. It takes about 25 minutes overall to roast them. You want to keep an eye on them though, make sure. So we're going to flip all of these over and put them back in the oven, and then I'll also put the new tray that we just did and roast those. Once they're all roasted, I'm going to let them cool, and then we can assemble our moussaka with the eggplant. So that's all of those have been flipped over. I'm going to put them back in the oven, and I'm also going to add the new tray. That's going in. Then this one, I'll set my timer for 5 minutes. Take out the old tray, leave the other one in, and let that continue to roast for 25 minutes. Okay? So we'll be back soon, and then I'll show you how to do the ground beef portion of it, and then we will assemble it, and then we have to do the topping, which is a bechamel. So we're doing sort of like a fake bechamel with ricotta, feta, and 3 eggs, 1 cup whole fat Greek yogurt, 3 ounces of feta cheese, 1/4 cup of ricotta, and nutmeg. So we're going to complete the first part of our recipe, and then we'll do the topping, and we'll assemble the whole thing and cook it. So this is a rather complicated recipe, and it's going to take a while. So come back and I'll show you the next step. Thank you.